Welcome to No Mama Girl Mama with your host, Milady Stones, where we discuss all topics related to health and wellness for you and your family. In this episode, I'm super excited to sit down and chat with Ari Brentnell once again, the co-founder of the Canadian Babywearing School. And I like to say she is one of my favorite baby-wearing advocates. I call her that because she always takes my thinking about baby carrying to the next level. It's amazing. Again, we're not really talking about the carrier specifically all the time. It really is about supporting the parent-child dyad. And hopefully she's going to be part of creating this movement of getting babies close to us and meeting parents where they are. It's amazing. I hope you enjoy this chat as much as I did. All right, so here we go again. We're going to do another chat with Ari Brentnell, my favorite baby-wearing educator and advocate, and one of the co-founders of the Canadian Baby-Wearing School. As we were getting ready for this interview, I was thinking about when I first came on as a Salsa Baby's instructor and talking to these two moms about where they could go to get more support with finding new carriers because they were not comfortable in the ones they currently had. And I said, oh, there's this local store they've got certified baby-wearing educators there, so we'll be able to support you. And they were like, what? There are certified baby-wearing educators? What does that even mean?
And now you are one.
Now I am one, but I was just thinking, it's interesting that we've spent so many, like you and me personally, so many hours together talking about baby carriers and carrying and the products and the practice and the culture. And it's like for most people, you just buy a carrier and you just buckle it up and go, right? Like, people was wondering, why are we spending so much time talking about carriers? So anyways, mainly I wanted to say thank you very much for coming back and talking with me again. I'm still amazed by how much more there is to say about it. So thank you, Ari, for joining us again.
Thank you. I am so happy to get to chat with you guys again and see exactly what it is going on in the Salsa Babies world and talk all things carrying.
Yeah. Is there anything new in your carrying world right now?
We went to, I don't think that I had gone to ABC. I'm trying to remember if we talked the first time before or after that.
I don't think
so. So went to ABC. That is the All Baby and Child show. It's held in Las Vegas every year. That is the biggest trade show in North America for every possible product you can think of for infants and their parents and their caregivers. So we got to see some cool new carriers that are coming out. There is one that I really, really love called the XOXO. It's a little bit of a hybrid style.
Okay.
That's something that's super fun. I have been meaning for the last 2 months. No, I guess ABC was only a month ago, so it's not so bad. I've been waiting maybe for the past few weeks to go through with some of the new carriers that I came home from, do a little video, show people. So I will make sure and let you guys know when I do, because a lot of really simple things that just sort of clip on or tie on quickly. And I think are exactly the kinds of carriers that parents are going to want to use, just because they're easy and accessible.
Okay.
So that's something that I kind of think is fun. In Canada, we've got something new coming with Health Canada in the next few months.
Okay.
There's going to be kind of a little commercial that Health Canada is doing in conjunction with Baby Carrier Industry Alliance. So that'll be kind of fun. And I think that gives Canadians especially, but people worldwide, a little bit of push to show, hey, the government is involving themselves and public health agencies are involving themselves in this. So those are some things that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. What would the purpose of the commercial be? To talk about safety or?
A little bit of safety, a little bit of promotion.
Okay.
There's been a lot of kind of general promotion videos, the sort of ones that go viral that everybody shares.
Okay.
But they tend to be aimed at people who are already a little bit interested, I think. And I know that you wanted to talk a little bit about special situations and babies and caregivers. who might have some sort of special health needs that we have to take into consideration. And I really think that this commercial is something that can be shown and promoted with parents in that arena, saying, hey, Health Canada, is talking about this, and this is something that they are promoting. So I'm kind of hopeful that those sorts of audiences might be a little bit interested in that, and that gives us a bit more traction when it comes to the medical field.
Right. Okay, so let's start there then, talking about carrying in special situations with our preemie populations and things like that. Obviously, so I thought that preemies, you can carry them, but you really need to be very careful with that. Is that right?
This is the idea. And when we say preemie, everybody tends to have a different idea of what that means.
Okay.
Premature can mean everything from, a 27-week baby who will be spending months in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, to a baby that was maybe born a couple weeks early and is really, going home with the sort of instruction to keep them quiet and at home.
Right.
For a period of time. So there's a really wide range of what can be meant by premature. And one of the things that we know about premature babies is that they continue to be premature. They didn't cook long enough, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll often talk about that third trimester for a full-term baby, where they need to spend 3 months, sort of finishing gestating their brain, having all of those sorts of things develop, because babies are not, they're not sort of fully developed. There's this big anthropological, controversy basically, as to whether or not that's why humans started to walk upright, was the reason that we started to birth babies who were neurologically not quite, ready to go.
Right.
Because no other baby is born quite as immature as a human baby. They're just, they really need to be carried and held and cared for 100% of the time.
Right.
So whole big sideshow that we could go off into that I'm not going to. So that third trimester exists for all babies. And really what it's talking about is a 3-month period where we're continuing to really care for a baby as though they were still in the womb.
Right.
So holding them close, this sort of thing. For premature babies, that's stretched out by however premature they are.
Right.
So if you have, say, a 32-week baby, they're running 2 months behind. And you're always going to have developmental milestones and other sorts of things sort of reflecting that adjusted age.
Right.
So what we see with premature babies in Canada, there's a really wide variation on how they're cared for and what's recommended. Skin-to-skin care, or kangaroo care, if they're being medically supervised and are still in a hospital, are heavily researched and very, very evidence-based practices. Basically what they mean is keeping a small baby upright on the parent's chest, on a caregiver's chest, in as much skin-to-skin care as possible, and for as long as possible. The more that happens, the more stable the baby is and the better their outcomes are. Mm-hmm. So we know that. However, it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of resources from nursing staff and from the hospital to be able to supervise kangaroo care or skin-to-skin care. It takes sort of staffing resources, and it also takes a lot from the parents. Having a baby is challenging enough. Having a new baby with, special healthcare needs, or a baby who's going to be hospitalized for a period of time really drains a family's resources as well. Are parents able to take time off of work? Are they able to be in a hospital in their city, or do they have to travel to a larger center to stay with their baby? So their ability to do nothing but sit there and care for the baby might be really restricted. Do they have older kids that also need to be cared for, and how do they manage all of that? Mm-hmm. So there's definitely some barriers. But what we know is that the more time a premature baby, or any baby really, spends in that skin-to-skin care, the better off everybody is going to be.
Right.
It helps the parents' baby or bodies too. It helps their caregivers' bodies to heal from birth, to care for the baby, to produce breast milk, to initiate a hormonal bond with the baby, which really have, long-term consequences. So the more we do that, the better.
The babies that are 27, like the really early babies, 27 to 30 weeks or so, would you see babies going home earlier if they're spending more time skin to skin, or is there not evidence really? Okay.
That's one of the things that they've seen, because there's this sort of whole cycle of positive things that take place. The baby is doing better. Often the baby is feeding better, and the mother is producing more breast milk, all of which lead to better outcomes.
Okay.
And yeah, from the studies that I've seen, they are able to go home from the hospital sooner, and have supported home care, which is of course, much better for the family as a whole,
right.
to be at their home as soon as humanly possible. Okay. There's some fascinating and amazing research. Some of my favorite people to listen to are researchers in this area. The things they know are fascinating. And one of the things that I've really seen Babywearing advocacy do is open up people's sort of eyes to the concepts of skin-to-skin care in a way that we didn't see 5 or 10 years ago.
Right.
It tended to be, sort of breastfeeding nerds and lactation specialists and neonatal specialists who focused on that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've got a wider population of people who are interested in carrying, who, know, oh, this is something that's actually beneficial. Oh, this is helpful. So we're seeing more and more NICU nurses take our classes and become interested in baby wearing. A lot more MDs than we had a few years ago. And I think that as we have more and more medical professionals personally taking an interest in carrying, we're probably going to see a lot of shift in the culture of how skin-to-skin happens.
Right. Excellent. That's exciting. That's very exciting.
It's amazing.
Oh my goodness. To see the mothers and babies come together sooner. It's even nice to see, this is off topic from baby wearing, but to see that during, like, after cesarean birth, they're giving the babies to go skin to skin. Especially if you have a healthy baby, but especially if you have an unwell baby, that having that normal close time with the mother is, oh my goodness.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's very
huge.
Yeah, so that's wonderful. So the Health Canada commercials, I don't know if would know this now, but they are talking about those special situations with preemies and saying, spend more time skin to skin, or are they saying, actually put your baby in a carrier?
This is one of the places where I think that a little bit of a good thing can be too much. Because we have so many more people advocating for baby carrying, a lot of people sort of misunderstand that, okay, well, if carrying is good, then all carrying must be good. And if baby wearing is great for a full-term newborn, then it must be really good for a premature baby. But when we're talking about a baby who is premature, or who maybe has some special health needs that are still, being diagnosed or sorted out, mm-hmm. They're going to be at higher risk of positional asphyxia.
Right.
And also, it's just trickier to carry a baby that little in a carrier. It's harder to get them well positioned.
Right.
So the messaging that we're trying to switch to is that baby wearing is for term infants, and skin to skin is for those premature babies who still really need to be still.
Okay.
And what the difference is that skin to skin is not ambulatory, so we're not moving. So you can certainly do that in a baby carrier if that's what you have and want to use, and many, many people do, and really feel happy about doing that. There are also special skin to skin or kangaroo care clothing, garments, this sort of thing, that are not meant to be used as a baby carrier. There's a lot of reasons that some people tend to find that those are more comfortable for them to use, especially in a hospital setting, than a carrier.
Mm.
And also, nursing and medical staff often requires that they be able to access the baby really, really quickly. If the baby has tubes and leads and other sorts of equipment that needs to go with them, then having a carrier that they have to pull all of these things out of
Right.
Can be a risk, depending on how compromised that baby is.
Right.
So what the sort of messaging that I would like parents to hear is that it's the skin to skin that's valuable. And in baby wearing, it's still the skin to skin that's really valuable. Baby wearing benefits the parent immensely because they're able to go out and do things while they're meeting their baby's needs. But if you have a baby with more intense needs or more special needs during a time period, the best way to meet those is often to just be sitting down, not moving, with the baby held on your chest, simply because that keeps the focus on, sort of meeting the baby's needs in that moment.
Right.
And it also minimizes the risk of, a baby that's very small or that may be medically fragile slipping into a position they shouldn't in a baby carrier.
Right. So 2 questions. Does skin to skin have to be literally skin to skin?
That is a good question.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad it's a good question because I thought it was a dumb question. Does it have to?
No, it is not. From what I've read and understood, the degree of health needs sort of dictates the degree of actually how much skin is exposed.
Okay.
And because more is better. So healthy term baby, may not have that same need for sort of complete nudity, all the skin to skin. Typically when we're saying skin to skin, what we're meaning is the baby's wearing a diaper, maybe, onesie or something along those lines, and they're on the parent's naked chest. But that's not always possible. Unless you're living in a nudist colony. Many women in particular would rather have more of their body covered up. So even having a low-cut shirt, or a shirt that you can unbutton or zip down a little bit and have the baby's head against your chest, where there's skin to skin, that still allows the baby to smell. It allows them to receive the hormones and the pheromones that you're exchanging. So there is value to that. My general rule when I was working as a lactation consultant was the more and faster you want to solve a problem, the nakeder you get.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So if you've got a throwing up baby and, nursing isn't going very well and you're really trying to fix something, the suggestion was always get naked, get in bed, keep your baby really on your chest as much of that day as you possibly can.
Right.
So if things are going fine, you might not feel the need to do that. But it's easy. We spend most of our time as new parents sitting down and holding our baby. So it's not harder to unbutton the shirt and plunk the baby in. If dad's hanging out on the couch and reading to a toddler, it's easy for him to hold the baby and, again, sort of pop his shirt off or unbutton it. It's really easy for caregivers to sort of find that time. They're doing it anyway.
Right.
The difference is really just, are you a little nakeder?
I feel like that's good marital advice as well. You got problems. The bigger the problem, the more naked you get.
That makes sense. That should be
Make love, not war, right?
Make love, not war. And it really does solve problems. Something that I've learned digging into oxytocin release and how the more we touch somebody else's skin, the more of that's released. Our need for it never goes away. And there's actually been some research done on older people who are in hospital and how they too do better the more time we get in skin to skin. I heard a behavioral psychologist who was a relationship sort of coach and expert speak years ago. And he said that one of the first things you can see in couples is they stop touching. They stop touching, they stop doing the sleeping naked, they stop doing that, because the last thing you want to do is touch somebody that you're angry with.
Right.
But the more that couples do that, the more they're reminded of that bond, and the more oxytocin is released, and that's the love hormone. So there's something to be said for it.
Right.
I think it's really cool that this starts at birth. You know, we're expected to do this. This is why we've got oxytocin receptors everywhere. We're wired to touch people. We're wired to feel that way. We're wired to have those connections.
Right. Absolutely. Actually, after the baby wearing course that we did together, I would like walk around and touch my family on the back of their necks. Like every time that someone was like, you know, being a little bit crusty, I would just put my hands behind there, like shush, shush. Awesome. So you were saying,
calls that the massage hug.
Yes.
Sort of
like really rub it in there.
Yeah, we're doing this on purpose. But my kids know about this. They heard me speak about it, so they're like, "You're trying to make me be nice with them."
That's awesome. So you were saying that maybe that for, you know, really premature babes, especially with leads and things like that, you're not going to be wrapping them up. You're not going to be using those stretch wraps, the buccal carriers. Is that would not still apply once that premature baby reaches their like full term age? You know, okay, that would still apply.
So what it's going to depend on the baby. Some babies are really just born too soon, and, you know, have a higher birth weight, are really doing okay. They were just born a little early. And there's some babies, regardless of how premature they are, who really do have a host of health problems. And who are going to be medically supervised going forward. So particularly while the care providers are still in the process of figuring out what's going on, what treatments might be, what the baby's particular needs are, you're going to always want to okay the position that they're in, carrier or, you know, in anything, in a car seat, in any baby item, with their healthcare provider. So what we really suggest, unless our baby wearing educator specifically is that baby's care provider, that the baby wearing educator or the parent or both of them work with the baby's healthcare provider. You know, what position should the baby be in? Is there a length of time that's too much for them to be in this position? Are there, you know, again, leads, ports, medical equipment that may get in the way and that we might have to learn to work around? Or are those things temporary, and if we wait a week, they'll be gone?
Right.
So it's really, really going to be individual. But the best solution to this is always working with the healthcare provider to, you know, hey, I want to keep my baby close during this time period. I really, you know, value skin to skin. How do we best do this in a way that, you know, still make sure that the baby's medical needs are respected and that the wishes of the medical team are respected, and also gives the you know, parents and the baby that chance to be together.
Right. So we can't really apply the hashtag where all the babies.
No.
Yeah.
Where most of the babies?
I'm guilty of it. You know, I always think like, you know, you can solve any problem. Just throw your baby in a carrier. And I loved that like hashtag where are the babies, because but I think the main thing is like and I don't think this would even apply as well, but like a hashtag keep all your babies close instead of the wearing your baby.
I love that.
Yeah.
You should start that.
We should start that one instead.
And be like hashtag the lady, hashtag Salsa babies.
Yeah, right? I need to tweet it. Yeah. But I still, even with that one, I think it was my sister and I that were talking about this, because she used to be a social service worker, and there were situations where women would have babes and not even be able to hold their babies. Like that was not a safe situation for them either, whether it was like victim of sexual abuse or whatever the case may be. So even that wouldn't really apply. It's just more of like a hashtag, just do your own thing and, you know, don't assume things, right?
We have to not assume things. And also, this is a dyad. Baby wearing is something that's happening between the dyad of parents and baby,
Right.
another caregiver. So something that that helps to keep in mind is that every baby is born expecting to be carried or held on somebody's chest.
Right.
But that might not be right for every parent. That might not be right for every circumstance. So the baby still has that need. And how are we going to meet it?
Right.
Maybe the mother isn't available to meet it, but there's somebody else. There's a support person. There's a foster parent. There's somebody else who will be able to do that.
Right.
So I think if we focus on this is the baby's need, and every circumstance is going to be different, how are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Another one that's really common is if the mother has had a C-section, especially if it was difficult or has had some health problems or complications during the birth process, she might be out of commission.
Right.
A couple of days. She might not be able to hold the baby. So again, the baby still has that need. Who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Can her partner, is there a grandparent or an aunt or somebody like that who can step in and do that? That's something that I'm now seeing a lot of people include in their birth plans, and communicate to their care providers that if, something goes a bit sideways, they still really want that baby to be in skin to skin. And these are the people that are going to do this in the event that she's not able to.
Yeah, actually, I literally had that written out in my birth plan as well. That, yeah, if something happened with me, that like someone has to make sure that the baby gets onto my husband's chest. Like, it was like, I told Jason even, I was like, I don't care what they say. This has to happen.
You're going to do this.
Yes. I don't care if you have to like go and steal the baby. Go and do it.
Don't let them.
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking also about where we ended our conversation the last time that we spoke. And we were talking about forward facing.
Right.
And I had been of the opinion, and I'm still, I think, working through like my thoughts with it at this point, but I was still of the opinion that forward facing was not okay, and under any circumstance you do not do it. It's not good for the baby's alignment. But then you were talking about, after we clicked end with the conversation, we were talking about that, and you said like there are also good reasons why. I mean, you did mention that there's no sound evidence to say that there's anything wrong with forward facing, but then you were saying specifically that there are really great reasons for why we would use forward facing. Can we talk about that?
Definitely are. I've worked with a lot of women who've experienced some kind of abuse or sexual abuse. And the process of birth and parenting can be really, really triggering. Mm-hmm. So in those cases, sometimes the mothers are just communicating like, I can't do this. I can't have my baby in close. But they still really want that connection. Mm. So that's something that I've frequently encountered, where, the mother's just really saying like, no, we need to face out. That's going to be how we're going to do this. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that, we talked about this the last time, there's no risk whatsoever to a baby facing outward. Definitely some risk to the mother's pelvic floor. Long-term, holding weight, low in a carrier that's not fitting well, and doing this for a long time. But what we do know is what the risk of not holding the baby at all is.
Right.
There's swaths of research on what happens when we don't touch people enough. And it's bad. So from my perspective, the risk isn't what way is the baby being held, is the baby being held. And I think that's something that helps a lot of people kind of shift that mindset.
Right.
And also forward facing is something we do for short periods of time.
But like you said, it's about the baby being old enough when the baby starts to naturally turn themselves around.
Yes.
It's not like a newborn baby or a 1 month-old baby being faced outwards.
No, virtually all companies that make a forward-facing carrier are suggesting 3 to 4 months.
Yes.
As the minimum. Basically, you want a baby with sort of really good head and shoulder control.
Right.
And also, they're never sleeping while they're facing forwards.
Right.
If the baby starts dozing off, we turn them around. And most companies are also suggesting shorter periods of time, 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Which is good. So something that that I've talked about with families who are really wanting that connection, but are not really, maybe don't have a baby who's old enough to face forwards, is that they can still get that by holding the baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the carrier is not the magic. The carrier is just the thing that lets you do other things while you're doing this, which does result in more time spent in skin to skin or holding the baby. But again, most of us sit for a pretty large chunk of our day, and if we're not sitting, there's probably somebody else in our house who is, and those are all people who can hold the baby.
Right.
And the same thing is being achieved. The convenience of the carrier is really just that it lets us get enough other things done that it makes baby carrying for the longer term.
Right. And so I like that you said, mainly the biggest physical strain of forward facing is the mother's pelvic floor. Because that's something else I want to talk about, and not just the pelvic floor, but also diastasis recti in carrying. So I guess that would be the next thing. Can you talk about, I don't know if you would know specifically, probably not physiologically, like what's actually happening inside the mother's body, but just mainly like what have you read evidence-wise that talks about wearing
the baby? The short version, every now and then I have somebody who, doesn't really get or can't wrap their head around why wearing a baby low and, kind of loose is a problem. But we know this from other places. Walk into a CrossFit gym or any gym and talk to the kinesiologists and the personal trainers and the physiologists about the safe way to bear weight. Particularly if you're a mother, and particularly if you're a mother who's just given birth. We've got a hormone called relaxin that courses through our bodies. It continues to at a much lower degree than pregnancy, but it still does as long as we're lactating. Relaxin literally relaxins and loosens ligaments, joints. So we're dealing with that. We may be dealing with the diastasis recti or, a variety of pelvic floor weaknesses or injuries. And if you talk to somebody who knows about safe ways to bear weight, the way to do that is always higher up and tight. The strain on a body of holding weight lower down and further away from you is immense. You can see this in safe ways to bodybuild, safe ways to weight lift. We can and do pick up and carry a lot of weight, but it needs to be done in a way that's physiologically appropriate.
Right.
So for particularly women who've given birth, they really have, all of these other things sort of adding to it. So if you're not the parent who's given birth, you're probably not going to, have those same risk factors. There's a reason why men's pelvic floor health is not a spectacular problem postpartum, whereas women's is. So that's also why we typically see carriers that women find not terribly comfortable. Guys kind of like. Different body strength, different muscle distribution, and also that lack of a pelvic floor issue going on. So we definitely can, if we're wearing weight too low and too loose, damage our pelvic floors.
Right.
There's no question about that. That's true of all weight. The same way that we're bending over and picking up a box and you throw your back out. If we carry weight and move around in a way that's not protective of our body, we can hurt ourselves. So the beauty of the design of a new baby is that they don't weigh very much, and they gain weight really, incrementally. So you have the chance to slowly build up how much you're able to carry and for how long. The thing that I always recommend is that we pay attention. If it's starting to hurt, if you feel uncomfortable or sore, you may have overdone it.
Yeah.
I remember a client who messaged me that she was really unhappy with the baby carrier she had chosen because she'd been out, actually I think she was Christmas shopping at the mall, and she wore her baby for like 5 hours. And the next day she was really sore. And I said, well, I don't know that the carrier was going to make any kind of difference. You carried weight around for 5 hours while you walked in a mall.
Right.
You're probably tired. Do you normally walk 5 hours a day on, concrete floors? Probably not.
Right.
So we do have to remember that it is weight-bearing exercise. In an exercise class, taking even 10 pounds of weight and adding that to your workout makes a big difference.
Yeah, totally.
And you need to have a certain level of fitness to start that. So even, starting with a 2 or 3 week old baby who weighs 10 pounds, that's significant.
Yeah.
It's definitely significant. So we need to be conscientious. If you're new to carrying and you're new to baby wearing and you're postpartum, remembering that it is a new skill. It really is weight-bearing exercise, and it's going to take your body a little bit of time to build up to that.
Right.
And if you're sore the next day, you probably overdid it.
Right.
And the style of carrier is probably not going to make a significant difference in that, as long as you are wearing them, high and tight.
Right. Because I do want to say, I don't think of myself as a spectacle around town, but like I do like to tell moms with, even when I go to my classes where I'm not wearing my youngest, I do comfortably do salsa babies or hiking with my toddler, who's now 18 months and he's about 27 pounds.
That is not small.
He's not tiny at all. He's a very big guy. I will wear him on the front of my body in my buckle carrier, and I can swear that I am not sore the next day. So, and I don't say that and like I'm not showing off. I'm just saying if you're having challenges, it's not necessarily the baby carriers. Like there's nothing wrong with carriers. There are tons that are designed to work well for larger babies. And if your body's fit and everything's come back together well, like it's possible, and so I always feel a little bit tricky saying that too. Like I'm trying to like convince people like,
you too can do it.
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm just saying it is a possibility if you want to get there. You don't have to say that it's all carriers and that's bad. It's just a matter of finding what works best for you.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
It's very much that. And remembering that this is a skill, and it's a skill that your body's learning. And it takes time to hit that level of fitness.
Yeah.
Most people don't set out and decide, hey, I'm going to run a marathon. I have never run before. I bet I can do this in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You'd know that was nuts.
Yeah.
And you would know that it's going to take a little, bit of time to build up to that and some training.
Right.
So I actually even had one woman who was an exercise physiologist create a routine and a list of, first time wear the baby for 20 minutes twice a day. The next day, try 25 minutes twice a day. But she did this sort of like, this is what I would do if this was a fitness client.
Right.
Who was, starting at a level of fill in the blank fitness and wanting to really quickly increase her fitness. This is how we would go about it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of genius. Most people are not, they're not that degree of involved with it. But it helps us to keep in mind that that's what we would do if we were starting a new fitness routine.
Right.
We would recognize that we're going to work up to it slowly and also pay attention to our body.
Yeah.
I know when I'm starting weightlifting for the billionth time in my life and trying to reach my fitness goals, I always can tell by how I feel the next day. Like, did I do too much? Oh, I should have gone up by 20 pounds. I can't move. We know this in other aspects of our lives, and we can definitely apply them to baby carrying. If we keep that, this is weight-bearing activity.
Right. And that you just had a baby and that it's okay to go and have lots of extra rest time, especially if you did try to do that extra with the baby. It's not about rushing into getting back into shape or fitness or whatever.
No, all of that. And in Canada, 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a C-section.
Right.
So 25% of new mothers at any given moment have had a surgical birth. So in addition to all of that, they're also recovering from surgery. And a large degree of vaginal births also involve, treatments and procedures that can definitely contribute to the pelvic floor having a hard time. So birth is something that we do physically have to recover from.
Yeah.
And I think, women now expect that they've got their body back right away and they're right back, working and socializing and doing all the kinds of things that they were, 2 weeks postpartum. We definitely have a culture that sort of pushes that.
Right.
And I think a lot of driven women feel driven to, be who they were and sort of get their body back and all of that kind of thing. And they don't really get that their body has been through something that does take time to, recover and shift back from.
Yeah, physically and mentally. I can say I was very excited after having my first, especially. Like, I just wanted to, I want to get to the grocery store and, be with her out in public and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not always a place of...
I want to wear my old pants.
I don't like shopping, so that was part of my motivation, was I am not buying a whole new wardrobe, but...
Right, yeah. I'm going to wear my old plant clothes.
And I did, suck myself into them to get them done up. You were sort of saying, sometimes you come into it feeling like, this is my plan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wear my multiples or my toddler and my newborn. Can you talk a little bit about that as well, tandem carrying, and also what you said about maybe it doesn't work for every baby?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of parents really sort of go in with the concept that, they're going to do this and it's going to be fantastic. It's not sort of mainstream parents who typically would like to tandem carry or carry multiples. It's usually people who are familiar with the baby-wearing community,
right.
And have, sort of had this idea introduced to them in some way. One of the biggest things that I hear from parents of twins who've worn both of them is that you can't actually do anything. So it's a method of transportation, but you lose a lot of the ability to get things done that you're doing when you're just carrying one baby.
Okay.
So can you carry, your twins from the car into the grocery store or something like that? Sure. But you're probably going to struggle to actually grocery shop if you've got, 2 12-pound babies hanging out on the front.
2 on the front.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was possible.
It is definitely possible.
Okay.
A lot of people will do this with, 2 wraps, 2 mani ties, 2 ring slings. And when I say a lot of people, what I actually mean are twin parents who are already excited about baby carrying.
Okay.
Because average first-time parent who's having twins is never going to, even contemplate doing this. It's a very, very, very small percentage of the population that is going to be, sort of interested or engaging in this. And it's almost always people who've had experience with carrying already.
Okay.
And are sort of invested in doing it. There are some specific tandem wearing products on the market. In Canada, we've got Twin Guru, and we've got Twin Go. Are 2 that were designed for bigger babies. I believe the minimum suggested age is about 4 months adjusted.
Right.
And carriers really specifically designed to be used where you can have 1 baby in the front, 1 baby on the back, in a carrier that was meant for carrying 2.
Right.
So as products like that have come out and been available in more boutiques, you're starting to see more people kind of going, oh, okay, that could work for me. And it becomes a little bit more practical. But it's really hard on your body to carry that much weight. My youngest 2 were born 22 months apart. And tandem wearing is when we're wearing 2 babies, not from the same pregnancy at the same time.
Okay.
So that's when you're wearing, say, your toddler and your newborn.
Okay.
So as opposed to carrying babies of the same age.
Okay.
Where we've got some different sort of factors going on with that. So I tandem carried my youngest 2 daily for probably the first year of my third's life, and it was really hard. I recognized that was now probably why I was exhausted most of the time. I would often feel totally fine having 1 on the front and 1 in the back. And like, you know, I could walk all the way through Costco or go for a long walk. But the moment I would go to walk up the stairs at my house and even take one step, I couldn't even pick up my leg. So that's when I recognized, like, oh, this is actually a lot of weight. And when I did the math, their combined weight at that point was more than a third of my body weight. And we know that we're only supposed to carry for any length of time, you know, a certain percentage of our body weight. And let me tell you, it's not 40%.
Right.
So there's something to be said for recognizing, you know, the overdoing it. I don't think that's something that I would suggest that people do. So again, it seems like a fun idea, definitely helpful for transportation. And for that, you know, keeping kids from running around parking lots and getting from point A to point B. But you lose a lot of the sort of benefits of baby carrying.
Right.
Because try getting through Costco and picking items up when, you know, there's a 6-month-old on your front and a 3-year-old on your back. Good luck with that.
Right.
It's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world.
Right.
What I found a lot more practical was switching out. I would often carry whoever needed a nap, or carry whoever was having a tantrum, or carry whoever needed what we would call a time in, where, oh, hey, you know, you need some cuddling and some attention. This is a good way to do this.
Right.
That was more practical. And when people are having twins or multiples, they'll often find that too. It's really beneficial to a twin parent to show them how to use one carrier with one baby and to figure that out. Because if you've got one baby in a carrier, you've got free hands, you know, to help another baby, to change a diaper, to do those sorts of things. You do have one baby's needs met, and you have free hands to help with the other one.
Right.
So it is really beneficial to still do that. And also multiples, particularly in Canada, are more likely to have more people in their lives helping out.
Right.
You know, so many parents recognize that they're really going to need another hand, literally, if they've got multiples. So often there are other people in the home, and there are support people helping them out. So having, I've done carrying consults before, where I go into the home and we've got both parents and the grandparents and the aunt who's coming in and maybe the babysitter they've hired. And we're doing a baby-wearing consultation for everybody and teaching everybody how to use these carriers, so that they do have lots of people who can figure this out and can hold the baby, and kind of get through the tricky aspects of having newborn twins.
Yeah, crazy. I guess I was thinking like with twins, and I thank you actually for clarifying the definition of tandem carrying, because I think I was thinking that it was like anytime you're wearing more than one body, but you're saying it's like it's 2 different ages.
Yes. Well, because if you're wearing 2 different ages, then if you've got, you know, say a toddler and a new baby, it goes without saying that the toddler's on your back.
Right.
And that's easy. Whereas if you've got 3-month-old twins who each weigh 13 or 14 pounds, they're not ready for a back carry. They might not even be ready for a hip carry.
Right.
So you really are dealing with 2 babies in the front. So it's the logistics of it look a little bit different.
Right. Yeah. But I guess the one point that I still was like loving that you said during the course was that it's about, again, looking at the relationship as well and not coming into it with this idea that I'm going to do this. It's, you know, maybe your baby doesn't even want to be held for long periods of time. So, you know, it's great to be prepared, but you don't have to assume that that's what they want, right?
Yes.
Yeah. About that relationship, that dyad.
No, that's point.
Yeah. I really, just to sort of finish up with this interview today, another lovely conversation, I really want to ask you, do you see yourself being a part of a movement back to carrying our babies again, or are you about just letting people be where they are?
Ooh, that's a good one. I want parents carrying their babies.
Yeah.
I want communities carrying their babies. I want people carrying the babies in their community. And I want this to be a skill set that we know. We talk in our level 2 class about emergency baby carrying and how that can help people in, you know, sort of special circumstances. Yeah, absolutely. That's tricky. Because I definitely have an agenda. I wouldn't even call it a hidden agenda. I definitely want communities carrying babies. I see so many positive elements when that happens. I see so many really, magical and beautiful things happen. And I also see that representing community caring for children. And I think that that's really, the sort of thing, I mean, we sort of often hear and people throw around that it takes a village, but very few of us have any sort of village. And also when we say village, we usually mean our chosen village, not our actual village.
Right.
And one of the things that I love about creating a carrying culture is this idea that maybe it is a bit of a village, and maybe you find a great day home down the street, and that day homeowner, grew up with her own kids wearing them. And she loves it and remembers how useful it was, and she would love to carry the babies in her care. That's the kind of thing that I want to see 10, 15, 20 years down the road. I see this in my own sons. I've got a 14-year-old who's like 6'3" and this, gangly, awkward teenager. He's going to be so angry when he discovers I've talked about him on the internet. He carries things. He'll, tuck his kitten in his hoodie or something along those lines. He uses his clothing to carry stuff. The other day he sent me a photo from 7-Eleven. It was backwards day. If you wore your shirt backwards, you got a free Slurpee. Okay. So he texted me a selfie of him with his hoodie facing backwards, so the hood's in front, and he tucked his Slurpee in his hood to take a selfie. And I was like, you're still baby wearing. Like, that's still a skill.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think we're going to have all these kids who were carried and who see the value in this is a life skill.
Yeah.
And I know, if he has kids or when he's an uncle or something like this, he's going to use that.
Right.
So that's definitely my goal.
Yeah. You can see it. Yeah, absolutely. Like I never really thought about that either, but my daughter, she will wrap things on her all the time. Her baby dolls, her rubber ducks, she'll try, like she realizes I don't have enough hands to carry something. So she'll like wrap her like blanket around herself and like make a little pocket. It's true. I didn't really see it as the practice of carrying, but totally. Yeah, that's fascinating. That's cool to think about. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's cool to see how they really do watch us and how much of it is also just the memories of their infancy as well, right?
I think we absorb that in ways that we don't really understand, and it comes out in ways we don't necessarily have awareness of or expect.
Right.
But if you can carry your rubber duck and your drink all at the same time, why wouldn't you do that? Because you know how to carry multiple things. Right.
And she would never think of putting it like in the wagon behind her, because someone could come up and grab that duck out. It's like keeping it close to you.
No, if it's here, you can't take my duck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of smart.
Yeah. Cool. I hope you're right about seeing that the true village openness and the whole having that community help to raise our children. I would love to be alive still and see that happen. So I will be part of the change with you.
Yay! I think we might need a blog post about that.
We might be what?
We might need a blog post about that.
We might need a blog post and a hashtag for it as well. Yeah.
I'm liking the idea.
Yeah. Thanks again so much, Ari.
Thank you so much, lady. We'll talk to you again.
Talking again soon. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bye.